Hi, this is KD0TLJ Joyce. I am in the greenhouse today. We thought we'd do something a little bit different, maybe something fun for the kids. I call it Gardening 101 here. On that, we are going to be planting some seeds and transplanting and potting some stuff up. So I hope you enjoy. I will start out first of all, I think we're going to start out with the littlest, which would be the seeds. I don't know if everybody has some seeds at home. Doesn't really matter what you plant. It's just fun with the kids and good learning experience. I think marigolds are good because they're bigger on that, and I normally have a little pack here that I put them in. I have some soil that's actually for starting seeds on that. I should have brought the bag over. I did not. Maybe I'll show that to you later. And I normally put it in a bucket of water. Let me show you here. I usually just put it in a bucket of water and put a lot of dirt in there on that for you. Sorry. On that, and then once it sets, I usually stir it around a little bit and let it sit for a couple hours, and then I'll go ahead and just put a little bit in the bottom here. And I thought, well, a lot of you might not have pots or containers at home. Yes, right here I went ahead and got an old cake pan that I had, and I went ahead and cut off the top of the egg container, and I went ahead and put little holes in the bottom with a pin, just so they had a little bit of holes. And then I filled the soil from the bucket into here, and we are going to plant marigolds. So like I said, it isn't too hard. This is kind of soggy because it's wet, so on that you might want to put it, like I say, in a container or something. And then the next thing you do is grab your marigolds here and open them up, which I did here. And I normally just put them in my hand just to see what I have, and then I know how many I have. And then normally what I do is I just take the seeds and I just put 1 or 2 in each container. Sometimes you get 3, it just depends. I at least put a couple because sometimes one won't grow but the other one will. That way you get at least one in each one. You might get 2. Doesn't really matter where in the container you stick them, just kind of stick them in there. On that, and some of the marigold seeds are bigger than others, just depends on the variety. On that, this one is called Sophia. On that is kind of an orange one. So on that, and then if you have any seeds left, I normally just stick them back in the container. And if you decide not to use them all, or you want to use them later, I suggest putting them in your refrigerator. On that, just take the top and kind of bend it over. I usually bend it over twice just so it doesn't come out. You can put a paper clip on it if you want. Normally the name's on here so you know what you have. And then what I'll do next is I usually take and kind of press the seeds in a little bit or add a little dirt to the top. A lot of times you can just push the dirt around a little bit. Let me show you here. You can see the seeds in here. I normally just push them around a little bit and put the dirt kind of on top of them. They don't have to be really deep on that. A lot of people think they have to be really deep, but they don't. They'll come up faster if they're a little bit shallower. So I normally just kind of stick them around, or you can add more dirt to the top. It's up to you on that. The kids usually have fun with this. Even the adults would on that. So after I get them all planted here, then I always make sure that I write on the container to what I have, because once they start coming up, it's hard to tell what they are. Marigolds you usually need, but a lot of times you don't know which variety you planted, if you planted more than one, or you don't know how tall they'll get. So normally what I'll take, you can just take a little bitty sticker and just write marigolds. I wrote Queen Sophia, and I wrote how big they'll get, 6 to 12 inches. On that. And then normally, since this is kind of wet, you don't want to ruin anything in your house. I normally put them in a cake pan or a Tupperware, whatever you have, and just put them somewhere close to the window so they can get sunlight. And depending on how the sun comes in, you might have to turn them. You know, every day or so you might have to turn them around and just sit and wait till they come up. They normally take anywhere from 5 to 7 days, so it just really depends on the marigold. Sometimes they're up in 2 or 3, just depending on how warm of an area you have. You can use light if you happen to have a light to use on your plants, that's fine. Out here in the greenhouse, I normally just leave them out here and let them come up on their own on that. And then once they get up, you can take, like every week, you can have the kids, or every 3 days, have the kids measure how tall they've gotten. So you can just take your little ruler here, which I have somewhere. Just a minute. I don't know what I did with my ruler, but anyway, just take and measure with the ruler on that. And just water it when you need to. With these containers, I always water from the bottom. That's why this blue container is sitting here. I put a little water in the bottom and let them soak them up. Some people will mist them, like with a little mister. They'll take and mist their plants on that. Biggest thing is, right now they're really wet, so they're going to take a while to dry out. And usually the soil will turn like a light tan, and then you can either, like these are kind of, you know, papery, so you probably want to water them a little bit from the top. I just wouldn't give them a whole lot of water and do a little bit of the misting. And then once they get big enough, actually you can just take your knife, or you can take a scissors and cut these all apart. So you can put them all like in a paper cup. If you have a bigger pot, like something about this size, you could put 1 or 2 in here just to get them going. So it really doesn't matter on that. But like I say, when you start them out, you want to use starter soil, because the other soil like this is too big and they won't do well. So always make sure it says seed starter or something like that on the label on that. And then once you get going here, as they're growing, I have a few things that I have here that are started. This is hyacinth bean in this one. I have some tomatoes here, Romas on that. And then in here I have some cucumbers, some straight 8s on that. They kind of look like cucumbers on that. And normally when I get started, as they get bigger, I always take and put them in pots like this on that, little 4-packs. You might have 6-packs. It really doesn't matter. And I always take an old pencil if I have it. And then what I do in this is I just kind of dig down kind of around the plant and try to get that plant. You just have to be real gentle. You just try to get that plant out of there. So as you can see here, I have the plant out. A lot of times if you wet the soil, it's a little bit easier to go in. I did not wet this, but I'm just going to kind of take my pencil and move the dirt out of the way. And then I plop the little plant in here, and voila, you have a plant. And you can fill the whole container up with your little seeds here on that. It doesn't take very long. And sometime, like in a 4-pack, they might not all grow. That's okay. We'll just let grow what can. And then once you get this done, you just want, there's holes in the bottom of this, so you just want to water it good and then set it in your window, maybe put something underneath it so it doesn't ruin your window seal or your little table you have. And like I say, you just keep planting these up, and that's kind of the way you do it. I normally put them in a flat here on that, and I normally will put like a tag in them that says what they are, so we know what we have on that, because you always think you're going to remember, but usually don't. So on that, so these will be the hyacinth beans. So I'll go ahead and take a wooden stick, or you can take a plastic stick like this and put in there so you know what you have on that. And I normally, if it's all the same, I'll just put 1 stick in. I usually won't mark each one unless you have several different plants. Then you want to mark each one. So that's kind of the way I do that on that. And the next thing on that to do is transplanting a geranium on that. I have a little 4-inch geranium that I have here on that. And also, I didn't say, I always put either Osmocote or another, it's a slow release fertilizer, and that might be something Mom wants to do. And you can add just a little bit, little pinch to each one of those plants after they get growing, and after you pull them out of here, then you want to use your slow release fertilizer. And sometime after they get going, when you transplant them up like this, we used to use a little bit of pond fertilizer. If you have a fish tank on that, you can't use soft water, but if you have just regular water fish tank, you can go ahead and water a little bit with that. and that'll really make it grow on that. And when the kids were in middle school, they a lot of times would do different things when they watered. They would try like a Osmocote fertilizer. They might do something without fertilizer. They might do something with just pond water fertilizer, and just see which one will grow faster on that. And then they would measure them and keep track and put that in their log. So that makes it kind of fun. The next thing we're going to do is pot up a geranium. This is what they call a 4.5-inch geranium, and we're going to go ahead and put that in a 6-inch pot. So I normally, you can use a bowl. I just use usually a big pot because you usually make a mess. I just think it's easier to have everything in one. This one happens to have some Osmocote, some slow release fertilizer, so I always tip it up inside the pot so you can keep all your fertilizer that you have in there. And then I just add dirt in the bottom and try to keep this about the same level as the dirt that you put around it on that. And I usually will do that. And I am kind of a stickler. Once I pot stuff up, I always take the blossoms off. I figure all the energy that way goes into the plant, and you get a healthier plant. And you can either just put these in a little vase, or you can just throw them away, whichever you'd like. And the fertilizer, I normally just do a little bit. Some people want to use gloves, that's fine. I normally just take a little handful of fertilizer, and then I'll stick it around my geranium on that, and then we'll have a beautiful geranium when spring comes. So there's not a lot to it. It's kind of common sense. Some people have geraniums that they keep over from last year on that, and I always suggest people, once it starts to get nice, start to fertilize them so they come good. If there's some old ugly leaves or brown stuff, take that off. Sometimes I even suggest just pinching, which would be pinching the ends off like this, usually on the top. You just take and pinch like that, and you have another little plant if you want to start it, like in a little pot, like one of these little pots. If you wanted to start it, you'd have another little plant. So on that, I think it's easy. So on that, so hopefully that everybody got a lot out of that. If you have any questions, please put them below on that. And thank you for watching this. I hope you had a good time on that. And if you have any questions, like I say, just put it below in our site. And please share, and please subscribe. Thank you.
Be sure to tell your friends, neighbors, other hams. Subscribe, hit that bell to get notification when new videos come out. Add comments below. 7-3, everybody.